All right, let's talk about something that, let's be honest, most of us see as just another boring corporate document, the health and safety policy. But today, we're going to look at it in a whole new light. Think of it less like paperwork and more like the actual blueprint for a safe and successful workplace.
So, why are we dedicating a whole explainer to this one document? Well, because it's everything. It is the absolute key to how any company, big or small, manages its risks and, most importantly, how it protects its people. It's the playbook for every single safety decision that gets made. So here's our game plan for deconstructing this thing. First, we're going to look at why it's the foundation of everything. Then, we'll get into why you can't just copy-paste one. After that, we'll dissect its 3 essential parts, and finally, we'll see how you turn those big ideas into real action.
Okay, let's get right into it. Think about it. Any good system, whether it's for finance or safety, has to be built on something solid, right? Well, for health and safety, the policy is that solid ground. It's the base of the entire structure.
So what is it, really? At its core, it's the company's promise when it comes to safety. It answers 3 huge, fundamental questions. What are we trying to achieve? Who is responsible for making it happen? And how exactly are we going to do it? And I really want you to focus on this phrase right here, the foundation stone. Now, that isn't just some fluffy corporate speak, it's a really powerful way to think about it. It means every single safety rule, every risk assessment, all the training you do, it's all built directly on top of this policy. If this foundation is weak or cracked, the whole thing could come crashing down.
So let's break that down even more. A great policy sets clear goals, like we want to reduce accidents by 10%. It clearly identifies who does what so there's no confusion. It lays out the how, the actual systems you'll use. And, critically, it's a public commitment to follow the law, and it is never a generic document. It has to be tailored to the company's specific needs.
And that last point is so important. It gets its own section. You just can't have a one-size-fits-all safety policy. You wouldn't use the same architectural blueprint for a tiny house and a giant skyscraper, right? Same principle applies here.
So, let's make this super clear with an example. Picture an oil and gas company. Now picture a textile mill. Both of them absolutely need to keep their workers safe. But why on earth would their safety policies look completely different from each other?
Well, this table lays it out perfectly. Just look at the risks. For the oil company, you're talking about explosions, major chemical spills. For the textile mill, it's more about machine entanglement or dust inhalation. The location is a huge factor. Dealing with extreme heat is a totally different ballgame than dealing with extreme cold. Then you've got the number of workers, the kind of technology they're using, and of course, wildly different local laws. Every single one of these factors demands a unique safety blueprint.
Okay, so even though every policy is unique, they almost all share the same basic structure. And if you understand this structure, you can pick up any company's policy and make sense of it. So let's perform an autopsy on the document itself. It really comes down to 3 parts. And I love this simple way of remembering it. The what, the who, and the how. The what is about the goals, the who is about who's responsible, and the how is the actual plan to get it done. What, who, how. Simple, right? So first up, part 1, the what. This is the statement of intent. It's the 30,000-foot view. It's usually just a single page, posted up somewhere everyone can see it, and it's signed by the top person, the CEO, the managing director, whoever. And that signature is a huge deal. It's a public promise from the very top that this stuff matters. Next is the who, the organization section. You can think of this as the who's who of safety. It's all about accountability. It maps out in black and white the specific duties for everyone in the chain of command, from senior management all the way down to the person on the shop floor. No more, I thought someone else was doing that.
And finally, we get to the how, the arrangements. This is the heavy, detailed nuts and bolts section of the policy. This is where the rubber meets the road. It's the practical rulebook that spells out everything. How you do risk assessments, your emergency procedures, what training people need, how you investigate an accident. All the nitty-gritty details are in here.
Okay, great. So we've got our 3-part blueprint, but a blueprint is pretty useless if it just sits in a drawer, right? So how do we actually turn the big aims from the policy into things we can actually do and measure? Well, the answer is by setting SMART goals.
Now, you've probably heard of this acronym before, but for safety, it is absolutely essential. Any goal you set needs to be specific, measurable, achievable, reasonable, and time-bound. A vague goal like, let's improve safety is nice, but it's useless because you can't track it.
SMART goals give you a clear roadmap to follow.
And here's a perfect example of what that looks like in the real world. Check out this goal. Review all 48 company risk assessments within the next 12 months. Let's put it to the test. Is it specific? Yep, 48 of them. Measurable? You bet, we can count them as they get done. Is it achievable and reasonable? For sure, over a full year. And is it time-bound? Absolutely, we've got a 12-month deadline. It's a textbook SMART goal.
And this is the whole point. This is why it all matters. Setting SMART goals is the magic step. It's what transforms that policy from a static document gathering dust on a shelf into a living, breathing, active plan that actually drives constant improvement in your workplace.
And that really brings us to the final takeaway. The whole point of understanding this blueprint is being able to use it. So I'll leave you with this question. Think about where you work. What is one specific, measurable, achievable safety goal that your workplace could set, maybe even today, to start making a real difference?